I need to get to this point A to point B, but he's being chased the whole time, and it is so much fun. I pray we do that movie one day.
We need to, because I have seen it, but I've only seen it once, and that was a long time ago.
Specifically, the action scenes in it are just really top notch.
Yeah,
and you get to see how good he really is as a kung fu and martial arts champion.
Right.
Because he's legit, and I think it's pretty clear that not many other people in this movie are legit.
Yeah.
Except the stunt guys. But Scott Wolf... Well, you know what? Before we get into it, Marcus, do you know the body count of Double Dragon?
I don't. I didn't look it up, because that's something that it feels like you do every week now.
It is.
I just decided not to look that up. Yeah.
I think you're right. And now, let's take a look at the Double Dragon body count. Marcus, you've seen this movie. Maybe you've seen it multiple times now. What do you think the body count of this movie was?
It's going to be very low. It's going to be
You're
under.
right.
It's going to be under 10. I'm almost certain that it's going to be under 10.
You're right.
If I had to take a stab at it, I would say, I would say 6.
You are close. There are 5.
Ooh. Okay.
5 as this guy can... Okay. So, it's a weird... The way this... Once again, we're using All Out of Bubblegum, shout out, to go over our body count. But the way they... Because they also reference, like, when Shuko overtakes people's bodies.
Right.
And then that person who was already dead... Like the basketball player, for instance.
Yeah. When they're in the morgue and everything.
So this guy counts those in that situation.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
But if you're not counting those, you only get 2 confirmed kills.
With the, what's her name?
Satori.
Satori and the gang leader.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who's also, what's his name, right?
Yeah, from Hills Have Eyes and tons of other stuff, too.
Yeah. So there's 2 definite kills where it's like these people are dead now.
Yeah.
Because of course Satori comes back
and
has a floating head. Oh God, it's terrible.
With stars around her or something like that.
They were like, oh shit, we ran out of budget and we still have this big and then yes, Tsuko turns into a shadow and basically breaks the neck of a gang leader who controls all of the different gangs, which is pretty democratic of the gang society.
Yeah, good for them for following one guy. I mean,
yeah.
Like
you consider like they're all different themes and stuff, and this one guy controls them all.
Yeah,
that was wild to me.
Yeah.
So, 5 death counts as considered in All Out of Bubblegum, but that is an opinion. You may disagree because there are 2 confirmed and 3 that are like, maybe.
Right.
So 5 kill counts. Now, let us talk about Double Dragon.
Ooh.
The opening, let's just talk about the opening real quick because it's weird, right? Like you think, we're in ancient rural feudal Japan or something, and then you open a keyboard and you're not.
No, we're in Cleveland. It seems like it.
Yeah, well, some of this movie was shot in Cleveland.
It was in Ohio, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something to remember. But the monks, it starts off pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
They're burning a village. The monks are in charge of protecting the Double Dragon medallion. And they've cut out their tongues in order not to talk about it. But this one dumb fuck monk, knowing the village is being attacked, runs.
Yeah.
And it's unclear and blows my mind as to where does he think he's going. He is this, everyone's committed to this one thing that we will not give away the location of the dragon medallion. And we're under attack, so I am going to run.
Yeah.
Towards it. I don't know. That was just weird to me. Did that come up? Yeah.
It was. No, it was very weird. Like, at the first, like, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, I see all this, like, oh, okay. Like, man, look, I completely forgot about, the cutting out of the tongues and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, this is deep. And then we see this guy just run, and it's just like, what?
And he's just looking all around. He's looking directly at it.
Right.
I mean, there's not... And apparently it makes a tingling noise that draws her attention, lashes attention to it. This is an opening. I was trying to figure out how to express this, and I was talking about it with my dad who watched this movie with me. And I've done a lot of theater, humble brag, that... And you run across this in theaters, like, let's do a children's play. And then people think that means you can do a bad job because kids will accept it. And I think that's true to a point, but you can certainly wear thin on children. And I think with a movie like this, if you say, well, let's make it for kids, automatically... You're not saying let's make a good movie that kids will enjoy. You're saying let's make it for kids, and I think that's what happened with this movie, because you start off in this hardcore. Double Dragon takes place in a hardcore world, and it opens with these men cutting out their tongues to prevent the dragon from being taken by warlords, which happens, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, whoa, let's fight, and. Yeah, I don't know. It's always a crutch. It's always a problem. Whenever you're like, well, we got to make this for kids.
Yeah. Like, no. It just seems like they're pulling back, just like, oh, okay, let's go back to kids again. And it's kind of like they want to do something on their own.
Yeah.
But then like they realize what they got to do it for, actually.
And nothing makes that more clear than the characters of Jimmy and Billy Lee, that they make this for about 11-year-olds.
Right.
Because their lines... The way they deliver them, it's all so cheesy.
It is, man. Especially the, I mean, we'll probably get to it, but it's just the one biggest, cheesiest line for me is, what does he say when they're sitting by the river after the fight, and he's just like, I forgot what it says, but
is it when? Well, is it when he's after Satori has died?
Yeah, and they split up. Yeah, they're mad at each other for the first time, pretty much. Yeah,
I don't know which one. I remember laughing at that scene with my dad, but I don't remember what the line was.
But yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Is that
their facial expressions and everything like that. However, they do something that I love when movies do, and let's introduce characters in a fight scene.
Yeah.
And this fight scene, Marcus, it has one of our favorite guys in it.
Yeah.
Not Mark Dacascos, or Dacascos, I should say, or Scott Wolf, but Ken McLeod. College kickboxer is back.
Kickboxer, yeah.
He plays one of the rich. I didn't know they were rich, but if that's how they're listed in the credits.
Yeah.
One of the rich kids who they were fighting in the opening tournament, where I guess they do tag team fighting in this underground lair with a lot of rules.
Yeah.
And the other guy, his name is Garrett Warren.
Okay.
Deserves mention, which we haven't mentioned. He's a martial artist, and he has taught martial arts to several famous actors, but here are some of the recent ones he's done. Logan.
Okay. Man.
He was a stunt coordinator for Logan. Alita, the Battle Angel, if you remember when that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Ready Player One. He helped with some stunts there. He wasn't the stunt coordinator. He was a stunt consultant on A Wrinkle in Time. X-Men Apocalypse. He was a fight coordinator. Free State of Jones, that little scene.
Oh, yeah. Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. He was a stunt coordinator for that. So this man he's had quite a wonderful career after this.
Was that first fight sanctioned? It just, you think, like, I don't know if it was like an all Valley tournament or all new Los Angeles tournament or New Angeles tournament.
And let's talk about that fight, because we get to see some good fight scenes. We get to see that the brothers are capable against other martial artists, but we get to see the different personalities that Scott Wolf, he's going to do what he wants to do. He wants to have fun.
Yeah, just wants to have fun, man.
And Jimmy's like, no, we need the prize money. Let's focus. And Satori apparently trains them, but Scott Wolf, nah, man, he's the rebel heart. He's the Kevin Bacon in Tremors. He's gonna do what his balls tell him to do.
Yeah.
And so that cost them the game. But I find it strange that what ends up losing them the match is that he just jumps on the guy's back.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. He just jumps on the guy's back and gives him noogies. Maybe it's only contact, no holds.
Right.
But otherwise, I can't see why he gets disqualified.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that it would be a little tougher rules in that situation, but no, it's just like one jump on the back and you're...
He's like, no, you're disqualified, and everyone's like, oh. Then Ken McLeod and our boy Garrett are just like, sorry, Lees. And apparently everybody knows the Lees in this world.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, they've been around, they're known in the fight scene. The gangs nickname them Ugg and Home. As in ugly and homely. But yeah, so we meet them in this fight scene, and they're going to win, but Billy doesn't take it seriously, which never really comes back to bite him.
No.
You know, it's like, why not make that useful?
Right. Yeah, like something that he has to be talked down from. Like, okay, stop doing it, dude. Like, we need this.
We finally get him to stop doing it, and then at one point, Jimmy says something like, go crazy, kid, or something like that, and we get to see him use it to an advantage, and we get to see how the brothers help each other. But we don't get that. As great as the scriptwriters are for this movie, this script leaves a lot to be desired. Oof. But you, as a kid, had an issue with it. Like, you didn't fall fond for this movie. I, as a kid, had no problem with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that time it was more about seeing... I wanted to see more video game at that time. Like, whenever... Now, if this would have just been Double Dragon and it had nothing to do with a video game, I probably would have enjoyed it. But if it's just like, you're naming yourself Double Dragon and it's after the video game, I want to see more of that.
You got to show us something.
Yeah.
All the video game producers and movie producers who listen to this podcast, take note.
Right.
If you use a video game, bring in some elements of it.
Yeah.
You do a disservice, and I don't want to talk about this much more because I've talked about it on every episode we've done in the video game so far. You do a disservice when you don't pay homage, and when you try to stretch away from it and be like, oh no, we can't. We want to be different. We have to make it a movie separate. No, dude.
Why are you making it in the movie in the first place?
Yeah.
Because it was a badass video game.
Yes.
Stop. Yeah.
I want more goofy plumbers and less sci-fi, multi-dimensional Mario World.
Yeah, I don't want Shadow P. I don't want Robert Patrick being a Who Framed Roger Rabbit shadow person and
let him be a crime boss who kidnaps people, and these are just two bad dudes who live in this world who want to clean it up.
Exactly.
Boondock Saints meets Street Fighter.
There you go.
Shot in a similar way.
Yeah.
And I love we talked about the way the original storyline. Like, I love that idea of like two brothers. This girl gets kidnapped. They make their way through this awful land until they get to the Shugo Towers, and then they have to fight. Like, that's what made The Raid one of the best movies ever. It's so simple, and people get so weird about that with action movies. Like, here's the guy who has to make it to the top floor to get to the guy.
Right. Judge Dredd, The Raid, anything like that. Yeah.
We don't need anything else.
No, and those have both been huge, wildly successful movies.
They're great. And Double Dragon's like, nah, let's make it really fun. Let's make it really silly. I'm fine with that too, but give me something. Drive, that movie I was talking about with Mark Dacascos. That's a silly movie, but it's so the fight scenes. You can't skimp on what's bringing people to the dance, and that's the fight scenes. Yeah. And this movie kind of skips on the fight scenes.
It does. Everything is so close up on everything too, and it's just. I mean, besides the final maybe 15 minutes or so of that fighting, and maybe some with the big gang, like in the trash yard or the in there wherever I'm trying to think of, but you don't get many like good fight scenes in it at all. Besides the first one too, the first one's pretty good, but that was about it. Yeah,
and it's all aerial shots. It's all like, let's talk about the chase scene now.
Yeah.
There's a curfew in New Angeles, what's it called? New Angeles?
New Angeles, yep.
Yep, there's a curfew that if you don't, basically the cops have struck a deal with the gangs, like, give us the daytime, you own the night.
Right.
And if you're not in your house at 7 p.m. or whatever,